Good morning, and thanks so much for tuning in. This is Stocks to Watch on BloombergQuint, and I'm Mathew. The question really today is how much of a correction are we likely to see after the strong close to last week? As of now, we're seeing indications of the fact that there might just be a little profit booking. But we've got three frontline stocks to talk to you about this morning, and my guest is Avinash Gorakshakar of Profit Mart Securities. Avinash, as always, happy Monday to you, and thanks so much for joining me today. I want to start by asking you about ONGC. And ONGC Videsh has apparently made a significant strike of oil in its appraisal well Indoco 2 in its onshore block, which is named CPO-5 in Colombia in Llanos Basin. And that's not every day that you strike oil. It is the operator in the block with a 70% stake. And that seems to be quite a significant update for this counter. How would you rate it from the perspective of ONGC?
Yeah, good morning, Alex. I think definitely, Alex, this news flow from ONGC is a big positive kind of development, and I think the markets would be obviously be elated considering that a large part of this oil discovery would be flowing into ONGC, considering that it's got a majority stake in this company, that is ONGC Videsh. Our sense is that crude prices, which were remaining soft for a long time, are now well positioned to move further. In fact, OPEC has undertaken kind of an agreement on limited supplies of oil in the market, and I think hopefully as the global economy revives, I would not be surprised that oil which was remaining soft for a long time could possibly see a decent rise. And rising oil prices are definitely a big positive for ONGC. Most importantly, Alex, I think on the non-core part of the business, ONGC also holds a lot of strategic investments in HPCL, companies like GAIL, IOC. So there's a lot of investment value in the stock which has not been fully captured in the stock price. I think on a core operating basis, FY22 seems to be a lot better because Q2 has also been disappointing. So we expect a significant improvement in the second half of FY21 and hopefully a normalized FY22. And over and above that, the investment value on the books is quite significant. So one could not be surprised if possibly one could see ONGC moving up into three digits very soon. So I think definitely, a good acquisition in the near term. And I think the risk reward is in favor of the investor. So I think investors should definitely look at it from a positive view, from a near term perspective.
Understood. And in fact, there is a view that says that if crude, in fact, goes back to the levels that it was at earlier and demand goes back, ONGC would be a good counter to hold as a hedge against the risks that could emerge for the Indian macro story. Right. Let's talk about Maruti Suzuki, and that really is a demand play. We've seen somewhat the demand picture shifting in the festive season for Maruti Suzuki in particular, and that perhaps is the reason why you saw November production rise by 6% on a year-on-year basis to about 1.5 lakh units. How are you seeing this overall, though, from the perspective of the leader of the passenger vehicle space in India? And would you bet on Maruti Suzuki, Avinash, at this point?
No, I think, Alex, clearly Maruti Suzuki numbers for November have been quite encouraging. And I think, the management commentary has also been quite, positive. In fact, the management is hopeful that, not only sales would pick up after the festival season, but some amount of pickup would be visible, in the Jan to March quarter, which is possibly a very, remunerative quarter for almost all the automotive companies. Our sense is that, with the COVID now crisis, looking likely to be resolved, a lot of news flow has come on the vaccine. There could be a lot of rush for personal mobility, and I think we have been talking about this for a long time. I think it could get converted into a large number of small cars demand being generated is only present in the small compact segment. So I think you're going to see a lot of volume growth getting kicked in FY22, and hopefully the fourth quarter should be significantly better than even the second and the third quarter. So I think all said and done, that's the reason the stock has been in the limelight. Management commentary has been positive. Commodity prices under control.
Avinash,
Increment,
Avinash, sorry, your line is very unclear. Are you able to hear
especially
me?
post COVID, is going to be quite solid. So I would.
I think we seem to be having a lot of trouble with that line. Let me check if I can hear Avinash, or Avinash can hear me at this point. Avinash, sorry, we're having a lot of trouble with your line. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Alex, I can hear you. In fact, I was mentioning that personal mobility is going to get a significant boost in the coming 6 to 12 months, and I think Maruti is well positioned because it's got a very strong product positioning in the small and the compact segment. My sense is that personal mobility would definitely get a significant boost in the coming year, and I think investors who want to invest should obviously look at some market declines to get into the stock, as in the near term the stock has jumped significantly. But I think overall prospects for FY22 look strong, and I think it could be a good buy on declines.
Understood. It has reclaimed quite a bit of ground since the lows that it hit earlier this year, though. Which brings me to the last counter. And SBI in the banking space has been a little obstinate, Avinash. It hasn't moved up like some of its private sector peers, but a lot of people are saying that it has the potential to go up. And it is not really valued fairly. Are you one of those people? And the reason we're talking about it, and I do not know if this is the biggest development and whether it could move the needle as far as the stock is concerned, but the CBI has carried out search operations at 3 locations in Delhi in connection with an alleged 1,800 crore fraud at State Bank of India. The CBI had earlier booked Jay Polychem in connection with this alleged fraud. But at this point, we don't really have too much detail. Do you think, first of all, that this could move the stock? And what do you have to say about SBI overall?
I think Alex, clearly, this news flow about an alleged fraud is definitely negative in the near term, and possibly, it could impact SBI moderately. But I think it could be a good opportunity to actually accumulate SBI at the current levels. Our logic of looking at SBI is that, in terms of valuations, it still trades at a fairly attractive price to book multiple, based on FY21 as well as FY22 earnings. And most importantly, I think as the economy revives and the unlocking has happened, we are going to see obviously next year, the macros, especially the GDP front, corporate capex is again going to pick up. So to that extent, I think SBI seems to be well positioned in terms of the risk reward at the current odd levels. More importantly, SBI also holds significant investment value in its subsidiary companies like SBI Life, SBI Cards. It's also got a AMC business which is doing pretty well. So I think all put together, FY22 should be a lot better for the company, and I think earnings will definitely recover not only on the core banking business but even other businesses like insurance, mutual fund, as well as the credit card business could give sufficient levers for growth, for SBI in the coming 12 to 15 months. So I think at the current levels, one should definitely look at it as a long good opportunity. I think once market realizes these near-term triggers, the stock can definitely get significantly re-rated going forward.
Understood. And on that note, I'm going to thank you very much, Avinash, for joining me this morning and for sharing your views on those 3 counters. Have a lovely week ahead.
Thank you.
And to you, dear viewer, I hope that this conversation on the 3 frontlines stocks that we had just now is going to be useful to you. Do stay tuned, though. There's a lot more that will come up in just a short while on BloombergQuint.